You're listening to Glow On with Charla Story
and Jennifer Wilson. We're not just photographers. We're your trusty guides in the world of photography, business, and a bit of life wisdom. Every week, we'll be lighting up your feed with practical tips, inspiring stories, and a sprinkle of humor just to keep you smiling.
We've captured luxurious weddings, mentored talented students at Develop Academy, and navigated the ups and downs of the photography world to bring you insights and strategies that work. Whether you're looking to sharpen your skills, boost your business, or just hang out with two friends who get it, you're in the right place.
So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy,
and let's dive into another episode of Glow On.
Sarah, we are so excited that you're going to be joining us today. And yes, you're an incredible copywriter and all things writing, and we want to talk a little bit about that. But we're most excited that hopefully you're willing to have some very candid conversations with us about motherhood, single motherhood, and owning a business, being a parent with ADHD. I recently learned who you were when our girl Allison took one of your classes and had an amazing time and informed us that you have worked on copy for Tonic. Mm-hmm. And so for like 2 years, every time Tonic put something out, I would go like, oh my gosh, their copy is like unmatched. It's incredible. It's really, really exactly like what, not their exact words, but like that much personality in such a small paragraph or 2 sentences is definitely the goal. And it feels like you're a fucking magician. Like, I don't know.
Wait, before you give me credit for that, I cannot take credit for that. Jen writes their copy like that. You probably see. I wrote their email welcome sequence and a lot of their blogs and a couple,
which is
other
also fantastic.
Things. Yeah, but I do want to clarify in a recorded line. I did not write their copy in that way. Jen is a very, very talented writer herself, so she is the one writing all the stuff that you're seeing, but I did write their welcome sequence and a lot of their blogs.
Amazing, which is also full of personality and like it's just
it was very easy for me to grasp their voice.
Yes, and maybe that's because I will say in our industry, I think their welcome sequence keeps you more engaged than what we're used to.
Yeah. Theirs. I will also take credit for Show It's welcome sequence. I wrote that too, and a lot of their blogs.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for writing? What was your path?
Not at all. I always joke I have a bachelor's degree in everything but marketing because I have a bachelor's degree in political science, sociology, and criminal justice, and then minors in philosophy and paralegal studies. So I have a degree in everything but marketing is always my line about that. But I've just always been, the world's most convincing person. So that led me to copywriting. Yeah, realistically, I needed a remote job, and I was like, what am I even good at? Because none of the degrees I just listed like have anything to do with anything that would ever be remote. Like I worked in law firms forever. You can't do that remote. And I was moving to a different country, so I needed a new job that I could do from my computer. And I was like, I guess I'll be a writer. Like I've always been good at that. I've never thought about getting paid for it, but I always liked doing it. And then I just saw copywriter all over LinkedIn and was like, what the hell is that? And I Googled what is a copywriter, and I was like, oh, bitch, I could do that. What do you mean? I said, I'm the most convincing person ever. I could totally do that. And then I taught myself everything, and then it popped off way more than I ever expected it to, and I never looked back.
That's incredible. You deserve a trophy. I love
Thank
this.
You.
I feel like you were headed down one of two paths. You were either going to be this like rock star politician or exactly what you're doing right now. And I think both are so necessary and so incredible.
True. That's amazing. I really wanted to be an attorney.
It was the criminal.
An attorney.
Yeah, it was the
because
criminal justice for me.
Mm-hmm.
We love crime. Well, we love true crime. We aren't criminals, but we ingest a lot of crime here.
I, dabble in crime, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm fine to say that on a recorded line. No, it's really because I like arguing because I am typically, the one winning the argument. So I wanted to be an attorney forever. I also had like a incorrect view that was the only way you could make money is to be a doctor or a lawyer. Like I just thought that when I was 10. So then, I had that idea in my head and just hyperfixated on it because I have ADHD and was like, why not? And then I worked for attorneys for 6 years and they were all fucking miserable and hated their life and their job. And I was like, why the hell would I pay $300,000 extra for more school just to be miserable and still not even actually make that much money? It was the combination of finding out one of the associates only made 80 grand, which I live in Massachusetts. So 80 grand is you're in destitute actually if you're making 80 grand, especially as me being a single mother. Like, no, I was not living on that comfortably here at all after taxes and all the other things you have to pay for plus childcare. Sorry, no. And then I worked for another attorney who was a mother as well, and she billed 13 hours on a Sunday while at her lake house. So billed means the hours that you can actually safely bill your client for, meaning if she billed 13, she had to have worked at least 16 that day. So I was like, you know what? Those two factors, never mind about this career for me.
A good call.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said like, oh, well, I just figured out that, bitch, I could do this and taught myself everything. And there we go.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think is kind of like, I don't want to say, yeah, I do. Like straight up, I think the people like us, small business owners, especially those that are in the creative field with ADHD, like we're like psychopaths, like we're crazy.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, I can do that. Like,
well, there's
as
two
if it's hard.
It's either I'm like, yeah, I could be good at this. Let's, cultivate this skill. Or I tried this for a second and I sucked, so I'm never going to touch it again.
Yeah.
So I found out quickly that I was pretty good at it. And I'm really good at cold pitching. So that's what gave me success in the beginning. Like successfully cold pitched 3 professional positions, like all the law firms I worked at. I literally emailed their HR lady and said possible open position as a subject line, and then like pitched myself to work there.
Nice.
So then I did a similar thing because I had success with that working at the professional positions. I was like, let me just try this again. And then people wanted to work with me. And then I traded a blog in exchange for a testimonial. And then that worked out. And everyone that, I did that with liked it. And I was just getting all the validation of, you're good at this. We like this. We want more of this. So then I just kept doing it because I was being rewarded in that way. And that honestly never stopped. And it's been 6 years.
Wow. You're like that girl on TikTok during COVID who traded a bobby pin and eventually got a house.
Oh my God, that's funny.
Yes.
I didn't realize. I didn't make that connection, but I remember following her journey, and then she did get the house I saw.
It's amazing.
Literally my husband's stepdad. He would be like, yeah, I gave up my motorcycle that I never rode, and now I have a big hoe. And there's like machinery in the side of the yard on their 20 acres. And I'm like,
love that for him.
I'm really glad that you went with now there's machinery on the side of his farm, because I was like, so he bought a big hoe.
Go either way.
It could go either way.
That's so funny.
Jesse's mom wouldn't be thrilled.
Yeah, maybe not.
She wasn't thrilled about the other big hoe either, though. So truly. Okay, so Sarah, question. You've navigated both motherhood and entrepreneurship while being ADHD, which is really just who we are, neurodivergent, if you will.
Yeah. Yep.
What would you say is the most powerful realization about your own capabilities that might inspire others that are facing this challenge? Like, I have ADHD. I think most of us, not all of us, because Allison claims she doesn't. She works for us. I think she might have a little. And it can be really hard. It's like all or nothing, feast or famine.
Yeah, 100%. I think that the best realization that I made, so I found out that I had ADHD after I founded the business. I didn't know that about myself prior. Finding out was so rewarding. So obviously that has to actually be like my real answer about the best realization, but that's not helpful to anyone. So my next answer is I used to be, before I wasn't always a single mom either. So I got divorced when my son was like about to be 3. So he was a stay-at-home dad before I was a single mom. So he had quit his job essentially because I could afford to support the family. We didn't have very high living expenses. Yeah, I know. It was like 6 months in, too. We did not have very high living expenses at all. I lived in like a rural town in Canada, and my house, that was a 2-bedroom lake house, cost $1,500 Canadian dollars, so $1,200 US dollars, and we like had all our utilities were included. So I'm like, he retired. Meanwhile, it cost us like maximum $3,500 a month to live. Like, it really was not that big of an accomplishment. It sounds cooler than it is, but. So obviously never mind about him, right? We break up. So I moved back to America. And at that time, though, when he was a stay-at-home dad, your girl was working like 50 to 60 hours a week because I could. Like, why not, right? Like, I could. And because I was in that mentality of I had that much time, things would take me that much time. Like, I would take on that many clients. And again, when you start to get success in business, you're like sick. You're like, oh my God, I made $5,000. I could definitely make 7. Like, oh my gosh, I just hit a 10K month now. I don't want another month under 10K. Like, I was out here. So I was working in my office in Canada when it was 1 degree. I was out here and I was working like 50 hours a week. When we broke up, I was like, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do? I have no childcare at all. And I still have to run this business. I'm booked out 5 months in advance. Like, I have client work that I have to do. And at that point I was really bad at scheduling myself. So I won't say overbook myself, but I would definitely not schedule any time for anything to like go wrong or anything, any time for me to take a break. And I've always been doing the most. So clearly I was doing the most at that time too. So what I realized was that it was taking me that much time because I had that much time. Like it's going to take as much time as you have. It's not like, okay, a website's going to
Yes,
take me 10 hours. Like, no, if I only have 6 hours, guess what just took me 6 hours?
exactly.
So, yeah, I quickly went from all the childcare in the world to, oh, now I have 15 hours of childcare. I'm going to have to live my whole life in that 15 hours.
Mhm.
And that's
Yeah.
what people don't understand about being a single mom. So I would say difference between being a single mom and being a solo parent. So I'm actually a solo parent, not just a single mom. So the
Mhm.
distinction I always make is I don't have weekends off. I don't have every other Wednesday night off. He lives in Canada. I live in Massachusetts. Like,
Yeah.
but there is no co-parenting happening here. There is just parenting done by me. Like,
Right.
if he were to go see his dad, it would be for a week, maybe 2 of the year. Like,
And you
I
would
don't
sleep.
have help with this. This is not
Yeah.
a thing that I have. It's not like, okay, well, sometimes I feel like a single mom because my husband works overnight. Shut up. No.
Yeah.
So I literally, it's not just I have to work in those 15 hours, I have to live my whole ass life in those
Yep.
15 hours. Like if I wanted to go to the gym, guess what? That was happening in the 15 hours, whatever. So the realization that I had was that it's going to take however much time I have. And of course I had to get creative with working in the morning before he woke up or like saving things for after he went to bed or when fucking Paw Patrol was on, I was out here writing my newsletter, like things like that. I found a gym that had childcare, whatever, things like that. So my biggest realization was just the time situation. My own time management had to catch up with my lifestyle.
Yeah. Wow. I've been a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I am not currently a single mom. I have an adult child. I was a single mom to him for a very long time, and then a
Mhm.
solo parent. Um, but it was actually like I had a corporate job, and then was shifting into owning my own business, and there were so many like uneasy moments
Mhm.
where I didn't know what in 2 weeks would look like,
Yeah.
and I was always like having to redirect the ADHD to a positive place
Yeah.
because it was easy to really spiral and potentially get out of control with what fears I could let impact the decisions I was making. And I, obviously in the beginning of business, we need to be willing to take high risk. And it was literally the beginning of business. So I was
Yeah.
like, I have to take risks, but I have to take care of me and I have to take care of this kid. And I remember it being like really emotionally exhausting. And, with ADHD, we are soaking in so much more of our surroundings. I just remember
Yeah.
there was so often that I was sitting in silence and didn't even realize it. And I think it was me trying to heal my nervous system.
I do think it's a benefit because we can hyper focus. Like that's
Right.
another thing. Like something that takes somebody else 30 hours is taking me 3. But I probably
Mhm.
thought about it for 30 hours last week.
Mhm.
And then now
That's
I'm
true.
doing it in 3. So I
Yeah.
think that helped as well. Like I realized like, all right, I have to remember like when my zone of genius is and do the things that I can do when I have capacity to do it and like sort of lean into my own squirrel up there.
That's my life right now because I have 2 toddlers. So
Bless.
Jen knows I have to hyper focus during nap time and then again after they go to bed so that I can be present with them because I have not had success trying to do both most of the time.
Yeah, no, there's no such thing as doing both. Give up on that.
No. So.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
Especially when it makes you feel like you're failing at both things.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just feel like a giant pile of shit. But being present and doing just one thing excellently is great. And so I'm able to accomplish what used to take me many hours in a very short period of time, which kind of reminds me, I think we just heard, Doechii won a Grammy, right? And she was saying that she decided she was going to put an album out in 30 days and turned off all of her social and only spoke to 3 people and decided no matter what it was done. And she talks about how that forced her to be effective and extra creative. And this is giving me that vibe.
I was funny you say that because I was just thinking to myself as you were talking, success was not something I thought about, but failure wasn't an option. Like it was just never even a thought in my brain that this wasn't going to work for me. And I think that like how serious I was about it, it wasn't just like my cutie little business on the side. Like this was my life. Like I'm very passionate about what I do and very good at what I do. People like ask me this question like, how did you figure it out? I'm like, I don't know. There was no option to not figuring it out. I just did it. Like I was just going to do it and nothing was going to stop me. That was it.
I feel like that. So my question before Charla mentioned Doechii, which we love her.
Which she just put out Anxiety 2 seconds after it started trending on TikTok.
Because she's genius.
She's incredible.
Love her.
Her doing that exercise taught her that she can trust her instincts and do something like that. We haven't seen another artist put out a song while it's trending yet.
Yeah. No.
I can't wait to see what she does.
She's
to be so on the pulse.
Hijacking the podcast to talk about it.
I know.
But for real, it was
Listen,
impressive.
I don't think anyone would be frustrated or mad about it. But so I have never been a single mom. So for our non-single or single parents or solo parents, as you said, Sarah,
Yeah,
who can't relate to what that life is like, but would like to tap into that superpower that both of you had to have out of necessity, what would you say is the superpower that you think people who do have more time could glean from, I guess, from both of you? Is it that making the most out of your time? How do you do that when you do have a lot of time? Should we be putting more constraints on ourselves? What would that look like?
Girl, I've never had that experience in my life. I've never had more
have.
time. What
I
do you
have.
mean? But I do think that people, so I have a mentorship program for other copywriters. So I think I'm the only single mom in that program, right? Like other people who I teach do not have the same life as me because it's very rare. Like to be both a single mom and also a solo parent doing everything, that's very rare. So when people ask me about like my schedule, I find that's what they find super interesting because I think having more time is actually a problem. Like I was struggling more when I had more time, when I had the 60 hours, when, you know, my son's father was being a stay-at-home dad and doing everything. And I was just like in my little girl office typing my little words. Like that was when I was struggling the most. So I do think that having the constraints is necessary to make you like, to force you essentially to do those specific things in specific times. So what I do is I set my schedule up to do like just one specific type of task per day. So Monday is a BTL day. So I only do my stuff. I do like my content creation, my writing my newsletter, responding to everything, like maybe a podcast recording if I didn't get to it the week before or whatever. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, client work. Wednesday, Thursday calls, and then Friday is all podcast stuff. So I think setting up a schedule for yourself like that, even if it's not super restrictive in terms of time, would be really helpful because if you just go into the week with like, la la la, I have 40 hours, like what? I would spend 39 of those hours like feeling like a piece of shit thinking about what should I do today and doing nothing.
Facts.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Make a schedule and do that specific thing each day. That's what I would recommend.
When Seth was like past 14 and like kids kind of ditch you when they hit 12, like you're their everything and then it's all their friends. And you're like the one who's like, hey, do you want to like hang out for dinner? Or so it really shifts and it's like a switch. And so at that time I found myself with all the time in the world and a business. And I was very productive when I had to be on site or something had to be done. But the rest of the time I was definitely spending way too much time rotting and then feeling like a piece of shit because of it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And so I did not really find a groove, but now I'm like, being like, I work from 10 to 2 and that's it. And having someone somehow know that I feel responsible to, that would be the way I'd have to do it moving forward. But I wouldn't want to be working 40 hours. I would try to force myself to hyper focus because it's everything.
Yeah. I don't think 40 hours is necessary at all, especially if you're someone with ADHD. That's completely unnecessary.
Oh gosh, a hyperfixation mode. I feel like, how old are you, Sarah?
30.
So I feel like you can relate to this as like we can. We grew up hearing that like kids with ADHD were mostly boys, that they were unruly, they were
Bad
crazy, they were, bad kids. And so as women, as girls, I feel like we weren't on anyone's radar at all. And like certainly medically, no one was studying what does it look like for a girl to have ADHD. And so many of us went undiagnosed and we created habits and also superpowers that we thought were just who we were, but not because of how our brain works. And I feel like I often wonder what life could have been like for us if we were that far ahead. So like, are there any, I know for me in junior high is probably whenever I can like go back in time and think like, that was it. The procrastination, the ability to absorb everything and anything I needed to for a test or whatever the night before. I can knock out an essay in no time. But adults were so frustrated with my procrastination and my disorganization, but no one clued in. What would you say like your markers were that whenever you discovered it?
I have an exact moment that I can be like, yep. Like nobody noticed this, obviously. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 27. So I was like freshly 27 was when I got my diagnosis. And it's funny that you bring up the stigma about it because I remember telling my parents and they were like, you don't have that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want me to have that. Like they didn't want their child, mind you, she's 27 in this story, to have ADHD, to be neurodivergent. Bob and Gail, get a grip. Like what are you?
Bob and Gail.
I have 3 bachelor's degrees.
I have a Bob and she has a Gail.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, Bob and Gail are upset that their daughter has ADHD. Okay, their daughter out earns them, so please. So they're retired. So, anyways, the moment that I can think of is being in 7th grade in I don't even know what the class was called. It was like graphic design or something, and we were learning how to create logos with like fucking word art. So I remember that the teacher had a presentation, and we had to like turn our chairs. So picture like a computer lab situation. We had to turn our chairs like away from our desks. We were all just like sitting in the middle of the room with just a chair. I could not sit in the chair. Like, I have a vivid memory of me in my fucking plaid Bermuda shorts, okay, in like 2006,
Yes.
sitting there, like moving my leg, uncrossing and crossing my knee. I was also a fat kid, so I think that really impacted my experience as well, because it was an uncomfortable chair.
Yes.
And so were the shorts, and everything was wrong. Like, I'm having a sensory problem thinking about this fucking day. So I'm sitting there with my stupid Hollister shorts on that I don't even know if they were like buttoning, and I'm crossing and uncrossing my legs, like moving around. Like, I was like so uncomfortable, and I thought I was just fat. No, I had ADHD.
Yeah.
And so I think about that moment all the time, and I'm like, I knew. But I also think of, I was a very talented student in the classes that I liked and a terrible student in the classes that I hated. So I either got a 100
Oh my God.
or I failed, like, or I got a D. Like, I was excelling in psych, in English, in history, and then in math and science. Like, I would literally write myself, I would forge my mom's signature, I would write myself a note, and I would dismiss myself if I had math at lunch period. I had 63 absences my senior year of high school because I said, I gotta go. I had a doctor's note for like period cramps or some bullshit like that. And I would peace out. And then when I got to college, so obviously I didn't get into the school that I wanted to go to. I went to a different college, but again, I'm like determined to be an attorney at this point in life. So I'm ready to like be a fierce litigator. Okay. So I was like, whatever, I'll just go to the school that I got some money off to go to, and then I'll transfer to a better school, whatever. And then when I went to the school that I ended up going to, I had this class that was both politics and philosophy. It was like joined. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like 11 o'clock was politics. We'd go have lunch and then come back at 1 for philosophy, but it was the same kids and the same 2 teachers. And I got a 100 in both of those classes, and like in college.
Yeah.
And the second teacher, the philosophy teacher, was like, girl, you should maybe consider a double major in this. And side note, if we're talking about the stigma of ADHD, like how they're bad kids, I would have had 4 bachelor's degrees if I took 1 semester of French. I just did. And the 4th would have been in philosophy. So like ADHD doesn't mean you're a bad kid or a bad student or whatever. It probably means you're ridiculously smart and just don't know how to exist like in a chair. Like realistically, that's what it is. But yeah, that was when I was like, I'm actually super smart, because I was friends with very smart people growing up. So I didn't feel like the smart one. Like, I didn't feel like, I just felt like an average person, an average student. Like I said, I was a fat kid. Like, I was really funny, but I just like academics wise, I just had nothing to give you. Like, I was getting 100 in English, but like, who cares when I was getting a 0 in math?
I would get the progress report, and it would be like, you're failing 3 classes. And I would be like, oh, that means I'm going to get grounded. Oh, mine did. They tried to diagnose me.
I would never do my homework. They would never check on anything. I was talking to my mom
Lucky
about this
girl.
the other day. Yeah, well, I don't know why they didn't check. I was like talking to my mom.
The trust.
Like, girl, I'm going to check.
Because they knew you didn't have ADHD. Okay.
Yeah, literally. They were like, not our baby. Meanwhile,
no, they made you perfectly.
Yeah, literally, that's funny. I'm an only child. My mom's like, we got it right the first time.
Right. Yes, they made you perfect.
But
that's why
did.
I accept that. No, and literally. They did. Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They tried to diagnose me, and my mom was like, and?
Yeah.
We were like, well, she should be medicated. And she was like, absolutely not.
I mean,
she has to figure out how to be who she is in this world. And if that's hard for you in your job, I'm sorry you chose this. And so I was not medicated, but my mom was like, it doesn't even matter. Yeah. But I remember I would hyper focus to pass classes so that the progress report didn't go home. If they gave me a 1-week warning, I would do like 3 pieces of extra credit and boom, I'm passing, and I would move on, and I never gave it any effort. My husband says all the time.
Out of those things.
Exactly. So I was going to say, do we think there's some sort of correlation between negotiating and certain kinds of ADHD? Because
100%.
You being like, yeah, I could convince anybody of anything, like persuasion, because you need 5 more minutes, especially if sleep is impeccable, what I can come up with.
Yeah, I definitely think it's related.
Ugh. Well, you guys let me know if anything comes to mind where you also went to the mailbox as a favor to your dad, but took all the progress reports and stuffed them in your time vault capsule that was supposed to be opened in 2023.
Oh my God, was it opened?
No, it got thrown away with all of those other precious memorabilias. But that was my form of resistance.
Yeah, my parents didn't check. I was working though. Like I worked 2 jobs in high school. So I think they were just like impressed that I was able to like
Yeah.
exist and go to school and go to the gym and work 2 jobs and whatever. So I
Yeah.
was saving my money. And they were like proud that I was doing that. So I think my grades, it was just fine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm hearing is I honestly believe that all women are superheroes and that we all have
Facts.
a magical power somewhere that can be used to our advantage. But that in women with ADHD or who are on the spectrum in any way, shape, or form, they just present differently. So I just think I don't know, I think it's inspiring. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's someone listening who has never really considered themselves to be an ADHD like a contender, but is
Yeah.
like, you know what? Maybe I am, because I feel like it puts us in a position to be warriors, whether you become a solo parent, whether you're walking through whatever it is, whenever you do have these, I guess, not compulsions, but like roadblocks or things that make you have to go a different direction than the typical person. We just are so amiable and we're so flexible that I guess I just want to encourage anybody, even if you don't have a diagnosis, but you have been put through the ringer and you're just always having to be malleable and flexible to get what you want in life, that's okay, and that it's sharpening you and refining you and bringing you closer to knowing what your superpowers are, even when it sucks and it hurts and it feels bad.
Retweet.
It's true. Retweet. Remember Twitter?
Yeah, I missed that one.
I was never there. I'm not into it. But what do you think is your ADHD given gift or competitive advantage? And second question on top of that, would you change it if you could? Like, would you choose not to have ADHD and give up this superpower?
I would never choose not to have ADHD because I love to be like your average girl with something, an edge to me. Like I love an excuse. So I love to be like, I have ADHD. Like I would never take that away from myself.
What's your Enneagram?
3 wing 2.
Okay.
Yeah. You got me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. But my superpower is talking on 2 times speed. So my podcast tagline, my podcast is called Point of the Story. And my tagline is the only podcast you won't have to listen to on 2 times speed. And everyone thinks it's a joke. Like I get messages, I'm not even kidding you, minimum 4 times a week. I just found your podcast and listened to your podcast. Like you weren't kidding when you said you talk on 2 times speed. Like I started listening because I thought that was funny. But then I found out, no, you're really talking on 2 times speed. I like low-key had to slow you down. And I was like, yeah, I know. Absolutely. But it does frustrate people in my life. Like my dad's like, what? What'd you say? Slow down. Bob, get a hearing aid. He actually desperately needs hearing aids.
Listen,
like if
Bob.
I could have a real superpower,
you should make reels.
Making that man do what I want to do. I should.
You should make reels where there's just really fast talking that you can't understand. Like maybe a friend or somebody answers and it's like,
the thing is, people would understand.
People would
understand
that. I watch TikTok on 2 times speed, and my husband is like, "How do you hear anything they're saying?" And I'm like, "How do you not?" I'm also.
Do you want to hear the most insane thing ever? I watch TikTok on silent.
I love that.
I often do too.
That's why captions.
I watch TikTok on silent. I watch Grey's Anatomy on silent. I'm sitting here with my subtitles, watching everything on silent.
Grey's Anatomy fan here.
Trying to heal your nervous system.
I've seen it 4 times all the way through.
Me too.
But new episode came out yesterday. I can't wait to watch.
Same.
Report back on your thoughts.
Perfect. I will. Oh my goodness.
I think I stopped watching when Katherine Hagel left. So 20 years ago.
That was a long time ago. I mean,
yeah.
once George died, everything got a little dicey, but I'm not a quitter. So we're still here.
This was my 4th rewatch, and I was like, when Derek dies, I'm out. But then it was fine. I was crying for 2 days when Alex left the show. Why was that? I must have been luteal as shit when I watched that one, but that one upset me. And I've seen it before. Like I said, that's the only show that I watch. Again, ADHD. I can't possibly watch a new show.
But I think that Shonda gets people with ADHD.
She does.
Her train of thought, her compelling script, and the way things flip back and forth, she knows. She knows how we do.
I want to kiss her. I once, on a plane ride home from California, I was visiting my friend Xanthi, who lives out there, and I was on the plane home, and I was sitting next to this boy who opened Gusto on his computer. So, if you're having an S-corp, you understand, this is probably the payroll service that you use. So I literally just, out of nowhere, I was like, oh, do you own a business? Started talking to him. Turns out that his mom is the executive producer for Grey's Anatomy. Her name's Addison Liddy Brown. And he's like, yeah, I was at Shonda's house last week. And I was like, what?
Let's hang out.
Maybe get married.
Yeah.
He was too young for me, but
I
was
would
like, "Can I
have
meet your
never
mother?"
recovered.
Do you need some copy to be written
Yeah. No,
from an
literally.
interview with Shonda?
He actually he was in college. He interviewed me for a class project actually
Oh,
about
nice.
coffee.
I would have accidentally spilt my ginger ale on him for sure. Not on purpose. accidentally, because I would have been so thrilled.
Oh my God, I was pumped.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay. We mentioned Doechii, and I guess do either of you have a song that plays in your head all the time whenever you're like really trying to get stuff done? Or like I feel like I guess it depends on the season, but sometimes I have theme songs that feel like, I don't know, anthems to my ADHD. Is there an artist or anything creative that gets stuck in your head when you're in game mode?
I mean, I'm the perfect person for you to ask this to. Like, I have no idea why this is such a strong thing for me, but I have like hyperfixation songs. Like, one of them is my
Yes.
pregnancy craving. Like, when I was pregnant, this was the only song that I would listen to is New York, New York by Frank Sinatra. Don't ask. I have no idea why. And then my other one is On the Road Again. Every single time I am moving
my
in any
God.
capacity, I'm singing On the Road Again by Willie Nelson. I literally have his name tattooed on me.
Oh
This
my
is
God,
not
I
a joke.
love
I
that.
feel very strongly about it. But if you are a listener, or either of you guys, if you have ADHD, you need to listen to Scatterbrain by the artist. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's EMEI. Honestly, all of her songs are really good, but listen to Scatterbrain.
I'm going to add it right now.
Yeah, if you like Doechii, you're going to like it. It's not Doechii's vibe, but I just like know that if you like her, you are also going to like this. It's a different vibe, but I could just tell you're going to like it.
Yeah.
Go add it right now.
It should be, it's like a gym playlist vibe.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay.
I use music to help me get in the mood that I want to be in. So if I'm like, my ADHD is doing this, but I need to do this, I can definitely choose music that will help kind of get my nervous system where I need it to be. So
wow, that's a good hack. I just listen to Noah Khan and then wonder why I'm crying.
Yeah, I have to protect my energy if I'm being honest. So like earlier we're talking about as small business owners having to hyper focus. If I let something in that's going to distract my productivity and hyper focus, like a song that makes me cry or think about the many things I've experienced in life, then I know I'm going to get completely sidetracked and it might take a day to get back on track. So I have to be like, nope, this is the blinders are on. We can listen to these kind of songs. We can watch these kind of shows. I'll even have something come on and I'll start to feel it and I'll be like, nope, next. Like I cannot do this right now.
Yeah. I think that's why I only watch Grey's Anatomy, because I know exactly what that's going to make me feel. But I'm also a writer, so I'm not listening to songs ever.
True. We call it the comfort loop.
Yeah.
You know, we're like, if I need to just feel at peace because I know what's going to happen so I don't have to have anxiety about it, then I have shows and music that I definitely go back to.
It's true. It's true. Maybe that's why listening to someone like a Doechii or a Kendrick or something where the music is moving so fast, you're not really absorbing it while you're working, and it keeps you in that like hyperfixation mode. Because I can't listen to slow things whenever I'm in.
No, and Kendrick has definitely been... The kids and I danced to him for quite some time, and we were counting down the Super Bowl, and it's only gotten worse.
Well, it happens, and it's great.
Yeah.
Charlie, I feel like 3 questions ago you had something that you wanted to say, and I jumped in. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was very ADHD.
I mean, shocker.
I am very ADHD in return. Don't recall.
Oh, well.
But I will say this. Do you guys find... So... Sarah, you were like, I can't watch a show. That's insane. Yeah, I do watch shows with my husband. And sometimes he gets so irritated because I'll be on my phone and he'll be like, you're not watching. And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm watching that and I'm watching this and I'm emailing. Yeah. It's fine.
I do that.
What would you say, since we talked about the ADHD superpowers, let's just take a second and say, what is really hard?
Being a mother to a child that probably also has ADHD, except he can remember when he asked me for a banana and I cannot, so maybe he doesn't. But I think that's the hardest part for me, that like when it affects my life, whatever, who cares? But when it affects his life, I'm sad about that, because I always use the example of a banana. Like, I don't know why he's asking me for a banana in this example, but if he's like, Mom, can I have a snack? And I'm like, yep, sure. I'm in the living room when he asked me for a snack. Cool. Then I walk into the hallway to go to the kitchen, but then there's something on the floor. So I pick it up and I put it in the laundry. And then I'm in the laundry room and I start folding laundry. And then I remember that I had an email. So I do that. And then I go do the dishes. And all of these, like, I'm in my head, I'm being productive this entire time. I'm like, oh, I'll just do this. I'll just clean this up real quick. I'll just fix that. And I'm like doing 100 things. And then, Mom, where's my banana? And it's been 30 minutes. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm starving you. And my bad. Like I picked up the thing, then I put it down, and then I forgot. Like, that is the hardest part, I think. That's the part I would trade.
I feel very seen.
Yeah.
Yes, truly. And you saying like, oh, I have a kid who probably has ADHD. My adult son definitely has ADHD and anxiety. And I have a 3-year-old who was recently diagnosed on the spectrum. And I think between those two things, I have a third child who just opened that window. I'm now just like, it's whatever. Like, we're on your timeline. We're doing things when you want or need them. And I kind of think like if schools or the system in general were to remotely think about what we need, we would be taught in a way that's extremely hands-on, extremely visual, and in all kinds of different, how do you say, like the order. Like there's no one size fits all order. So yeah, letting us guide and doing things at our own pace. God, what a difference that would have been.
I know. I mean, it's scientifically proven that play teaches you significantly faster, and so do stories teach you significantly faster. And it's frustrating because teachers know that, but teachers aren't the ones in charge. Whoever makes the curriculum is the one in charge. So I mean, my son's in kindergarten, and I feel his teacher in his school does a really great job of that. Like, he's an extremely, talented little baby, but I'm nervous to see what goes on in the rest of the public school journey. But I do live in a state with the best public education in the country. So
Massachusetts.
Yeah, girl.
We are about to move from Texas to Maine and go from private to public, most likely. And I'm like, I feel like we'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine. New Englanders are smart. Like, that's just, if we're going to stereotype one specific area of the country, New Englanders are smart.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know if you guys have ever tried this or if it would be helpful for you, but what has been working for me recently with my scatterbrain and like hopping all around when it comes to work, at least, I haven't figured anything out for like grabbing the banana and then realizing that my shoes are out. But
that can't be fixed.
No, it is what it is. Is having a specific tab open up like for everything I need to do. So like if there's an email that I couldn't open, but I need to open it today, but I can't fix it yet because I haven't heard back from somebody, that stays open as its own tab. And if I need to go do this thing for the podcast, that stays open. And then I know when I'm done at the end of the day, if I've cleared my tabs, and that has helped a lot.
That's you should use Toby for tabs. So not for the same thing. So Toby, T-O-B-Y, is a Chrome extension.
Ooh.
This is my ADHD tips episode. It's a Chrome extension that lets you group together tabs. So like, let's say I'm my client right now that I'm writing website copy for. Her name is Jill. So I have a Jill tab on Toby. So it's her questionnaire, it's her document, it's my research, it's the SEO piece of it that I'm working on, it's her competitors, it's her website template. Like all of the tabs that I would open to do her project, they're all there so that I can just go into Toby and be like, click Jill, and then it would open her entire project. So super helpful. One of my students told me about that like 2 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, you changed my life.
Toby.
I just took a note. Took a note.
T-O-B-Y. And it's free. I mean, I pay for it now because I have so many tab collections, but it's very, very affordable, like to pay for the maximum of it. But yeah, you could absolutely get by on free. Like I just wasn't down to go delete old ones.
I'm gonna do it today. That sounds
hell yeah.
You're gonna love. And Toggle is another one.
That's what?
To track your time. Toggle. T-O-G-G-L. Yeah, to track your time. I track every minute of my time, and that keeps it's that like
accountability.
Someone's watching me. Yeah.
Yep.
Body doubling, except it's just me and Toggle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't feel like I don't feel like any of us would really like love a boss, but sometimes I wish I had a boss. Sometimes, you know. But
I actually I have had a boss, and I do enjoy having a boss because it does elevate the productivity, but more so getting feedback.
Yeah.
Having somebody give you constructive criticism who wants to see you succeed and wants to see you get promoted is something that I find myself thankful for on damn near a daily basis.
Yeah.
And even when it was tough love, I have called my old boss and asked him, if I educate you on what I do, will you have a bi-weekly meeting where you just ask me how I could have done it better? Because
you can ask ChatGPT that.
That's true. That's true, but I know when he's disappointed by his face, because with ADHD, we're pretty incredible at reading people and the vibes and reading the room. And so like, I can just present something to him and immediately know, and it will muster up something inside of me that's like, you could have done this and you could have done that. And then I just get better and better and better. And I definitely, for whatever reason, and I'm sure ADHD plays a part, I aim for excellence. If I'm doing something, I want to do it excellently, or I don't want to do it at all. You're right. Like, we're either going to be great or we're not, and I'm not wasting my time.
We're either doing it or we're not.
Gifted. Right. Exactly. In or out. Wow. Okay. So I think maybe I do remember.
I knew you'd get there.
We were talking about 42 minutes ago.
Yeah. So this is probably last question because I know we could talk about this forever.
Forever. There's the ADHD theme song.
There it is. Well, I read what I had noted, but we already talked about it. So this is me trying to make something up.
And I think I'll leave this in because it's funny.
Do you think that ADHD negatively impacts your relationships in terms of friendships and marriages?
No, I don't think so. My marriage ended because we weren't the right fit. Like that had nothing to do with my ADHD. Like the things that we disagreed on were like he wanted me to wash the dishes more often than I did. So maybe that's related to ADHD, but we just didn't have a garbage disposal in Canada or a dishwasher. So like, what do you mean? Why? So yeah, I don't think that it impacts my relationships. The last relationship I was in, I mean, he recognized that I had ADHD and he was an extremely helpful partner in that way. Like I'd be like, fuck, where are my keys? And he'd be like, in your closet. Like he would know to keep me on track, or if I would like start talking about something else, he'd be like, so we were planning what to eat for dinner. Like he would bring me back on track. So I think it's just about being with somebody that understands how your mind works and then like how to navigate that. The one thing that I do notice, this doesn't really happen in friendships, but more like romantic relationships and then family relationships. If you fucking tell me something that I already know or that I was already going to do, like I will kill you.
Yeah.
Like that is the
Being
one
told
thing that
what to do.
cannot. It's called being demand averse, and it's a major ADHD thing, and I cannot with that. So I'm trying to be better about that. But yeah, I don't think so. I think another like issue is expecting me from other people. I don't know if that's just a me problem,
Yeah.
or an ADHD problem, but I do think with my particular brand of squirrel, I have a ridiculous capacity for conversation. Like it takes nothing out of me to keep up with 20 friends, text 40 people in a day, have like a million phone conversations, like know what's going on in everyone's life, like stalk my pregnant friend to see if she's at the hospital yet to give birth. Like I'm like doing all of these things in the span of like an hour. And I think that's what I mean when I say don't expect me from someone else, because a lot of people, whether they have ADHD or not, do not feel that way and do not have that capacity that I do. So I can't expect them to give me the same energy that I'm like insane and able to give. So that's how I would say it affects it, but I don't think it like negatively impacts anything.
Yeah.
People love their little squirrel.
That's some beautiful self-awareness, honestly.
Yeah.
We love a self-aware girly.
I feel like
it's a work in progress.
Bra.
I'm, 30 now, so I'm clearly know everything and I'm really fancy and like mature.
Right.
So,
Obviously.
Well, and I think those are superpowers. I don't think that they're hindrances. I wish that I could be more like that with my communication to my friends daily. I thrive in my friendships when I get to see people in person.
Yeah.
And I've always been that way. And so I actually struggle when life is all screens to still connect with friends and find new levels of depth. Like that's just a struggle for me. So maybe that's something I could work on. But
yeah. Define if you're the reach out friend or the reached out to friend. This is a phrase that I came up with in literally high school. You're one of two. Like there's two types of friends. You're the one that reaches out, or you're the one that gets reached out to. And once you figure out it would, like if I know I have friends that are reached out to friends, I will make an effort to reach out to them.
Yeah.
And obviously if you know that you're the reach out friend, maybe you could tell your reached out to friends, hey, like I'm always the one reaching out. I'm not mad about it. I know this is how you are, but maybe you could reach out to me like once a month. Or maybe don't like take the pressure off of them and say, let's have a yap date. Like me and one of my friends every other week, Friday at 12, we have a phone call. Like, so we know that we get the time on the calendar. So maybe scheduling something would be helpful if you're also someone who struggles with the screen.
For sure.
That's a great thing. I have that with one of my friends. We call it Maggie Mondays. And I talk with her every Monday. And it's been really helpful.
Put on my calendar like to contact certain really important people that I want to make sure I check in with that don't really reach out. And that has worked well when I remember to look at my calendar.
Yeah. My calendar's my life. I once missed a literal bridal shower because it wasn't on my calendar. Like I had the gift, I had the dress, I had the babysitter, I was ready to go. Wasn't on the calendar, forgot about it. Her mom posted pictures on Facebook like that Monday, and I was like, "What is she posting pictures of?" And I was like, "Oh my god, I literally didn't go to Marissa's shower. My bad. Like it wasn't on the calendar. That was my bad."
Yeah, that's what I mean by how it can impact relationships, because you're always like, it has nothing to do with my love for you. It's that my brain was like, I can remember something in the morning and forget it in the afternoon for that evening.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. Okay, the last thing, because really, I think we have like 8 minutes. So I got divorced when I was 26, and I found myself in a really long self-reflection, and like really I like to take responsibility for things because then I can have the control to fix it, which I think is really ADHD thing. And I remember through learning how to be really self-reflective, almost to a fault at some point, I got so great at reading other people's energies and understanding the way that they work, and understanding even people who aren't that great, like villain origin story, to a point where it made me like them. And then I'm like, is this a whole new level of mental illness?
Like,
Wow. Is that something that during your divorce, did you find yourself really overly self-reflecting? And what would you say was like your biggest positive takeaway?
I think I might be the villain in this scenario because no, I was not doing any of that. I was like, how could you? No, just kidding. It was like completely amicable
I was
divorce.
also like, how could you?
No, it wasn't a completely amicable situation. It was fine. But I was the one that got 100% of the responsibility in the deal, right? Like
Mhm.
the way that I saw it for a while,
Same.
for like minimum a year after this ended, I was like, so you get to go live your whole ass life by yourself, 100% freedom, zero responsibilities, just fucking around. And I'm going to be the one that is by myself, a mother responsible for everything. Get
Yep.
fucked. Like,
Yep.
so there was no time for me to be like, oh my God, what could I have done better? But
Yeah.
because I think
No.
in that relationship, I definitely, like, we were just not on the same page. And I don't think it was either of our faults. Like, there are things he could have done better. There are things I could have done better. But ultimately, it was not going to work. Like, we both saw that and we were like, never mind, because we were just fundamentally different. We had different values. I don't even know how we ended up in that spot
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
married at all. Like,
Oh no.
it just wasn't happening. But I do think there are things that I wouldn't want to repeat from that relationship. So I have reflected in that way of
That's
like,
what I
okay,
meant.
I know I won't accept that anymore. I know
Right.
I personally won't be that way. Like, but
Mhm.
I don't think either of us were bad partners. I think we were a bad fit.
Yeah. No, I had a watch me energy. Like, you're going to regret not being my
not me. I was
husband.
like,
Watch me
stay out of mine
energy.
energy. I was like,
Yeah.
you're not
No.
even in my country, bye.
Right? Yeah. So no, I didn't want to get back with my husband. I just was like, okay, how can I make sure this doesn't happen in future relationships? Because what a waste of my time. And you know how we like wasting
we
time.
can't with a waste of our time.
Can't do it.
I was just angry for a year because he got to live his life and I didn't. And then one day I woke up and was like, well, that's me drinking the poison and expecting him to die. That's stupid. And then I
Yeah.
just literally woke up and got a grip one day and was like, never mind. And never thought about it again and was completely fine. And then sometimes my friends or family or whatever will bring up to me like how unfair it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. It's pretty unfair. Like I don't even think about it at all anymore.
He's missing out on all the joy that you get too, though. So like that's
I mean, I literally am being so genuine. I do not think about him. It's not
That's
something
great.
that crosses my mind. Like I
That's
just
amazing.
actively chose never mind. I never minded again.
Yeah. I love that.
Your mind is what you make it, right? Like you get to choose what's happening in your little brain. That's really
You
what
absolutely do.
manifestation is. Like you're out here just choosing your reality. And that was the reality that I was going to choose that he was not in.
Yep. Yeah, and it impacts your vibrations for sure and what you're attracting. I 100%. Yeah.
I'm actively working on that right now.
Same. You know, just caressing my crystals in my bubble bath at night while reading my book.
That's so funny.
You know that I have to
Probably got some
visualize.
low cortisol, girl. I'm jealous.
Yeah.
They
Getting
love.
by. I told you 2 toddlers.
Facts.
I visualize everything I hear, and Charla knows that. So now I see it.
Go ask AI to give you a visual.
I don't need to. I already see it.
I already got it.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being here with us and being so open and candid.
Always.
We are big fans of you and your work. And I know you have a class that our girl immensely got a ton out of, Allison. She continues to rave about it. So I'm just so glad that we crossed paths and were able to connect on a podcast episode together.
Thanks for having me.
I might be reaching out to you to do some work for my other business.
I got you, queen.
Perfect.
Hit me up.
Amazing.
Hit me up.
Thank you so
Guys,
much.
go check Sarah out.
Yep. I'm BTL copy everywhere, not BLT like the sandwich. BLT like between the lines, betweenthelinescoffee.com. That's me.
Love it.
But honestly, yum.
I get mistaken for a sandwich all the time.
I'm going to have one and think of you for the rest of my life.
Honestly, the Wendy's chicken BLT is fucking good. Like, I'm not a fast food girly like that, but if I was starving and I was on a highway, I would get a Wendy's chicken BLT.
McAllister's, and they add avocado, and it's like crispy. Man, that's
about McAllister.
What's McAllister?
I think it's everywhere.
Not here, girl.
I'll send you some.
Okay, thanks.
No.
I still don't even know what that is.
It's a delicious sandwich.
Oh, gorgeous.
Well, you guys go look up Sarah at BTL Copy. Go buy yourself a BLT from Wendy's.
That's your homework.
We will catch you on the flippity flop, but hopefully you were able to listen today and you're leaving feeling compelled, encouraged, and ready
understood.
Understood. Part of the tribe.
Understood. You're not drowning alone.
No. Okay, bye.
I don't know why I waved.
Feeling stuck or overwhelmed? The free Mindset Guide from Develop Academy has got you covered. Created with insights from mindset and mental health experts, this guided workbook will help you clear your mind, break through mental blocks, and regain your focus right from your phone or laptop anytime you need it. Packed with strategies that actually work, it's your go-to resource for tackling self-doubt and finding your flow. Download the free Mindset Guide today at the link in our description and get expert support wherever you are.